Chapter 4009. Hey, the second is here. Using the cosmic channel of the ancient Yuan star, Zhen Wushuang directly reached the Xinghe near the. But is not the destination of Zhen Wushuang, he still has to move along Xinghe. The huge cosmic boat continued to shuttle among the galaxies. Inside the universe boat. Fu Jun, your strength is getting more and more powerful. The old leader of the ancient Yuan Xing, anyway, is also a fourth-ranking master, and it should not be considered weak in the fourth ranking. She was still defeated with just one sword, and if I read it correctly, you haven't used the true strength of that swordsman, have you? Leng Rushuang looked at Zhen Wushuang with interest. As the sword of Wushuang, she has some understanding of Zhen Wushuang's strength. Not to mention anything else, Zhen Wushuang understood the laws of the universe, and has a very high degree of understanding, but when fighting the ancient leader of the ancient Yuan Xing, Zhen Wushuang did not use the rules of the universe. The master's strength is indeed getting more and more arrogant. Even if I am the leader of the ancient Yuan Xing, I have no absolute grasp to win, but in front of the master, I have no qualifications to resist. Also, haha, don't brag me too much, I will drift away. Zhen Wushuang chuckled, Flame, you are still only recovering about 20% of the gods. The combat power is just normal. The fourth level dominates the level, but when it comes to the purple star field, I will go to Jodi Pavilion to buy some special spa for you to restore the body. Then you will restore your body to about 30%. To me, even more than me. Before Wu Zhenshuang was in his hometown, although there was also Jodi Pavilion, because the starfield was too remote, even in nearby starfields, there were few high-level spa. The purchase of spa from too far-away starfields is too expensive, so Zhen Wushuang only spent resources to restore the magic flame to about 20% of the body, and the combat power that the magic flame can explode also follows. It was the same as when fighting against the Demon Star Master. But if you come to the Ziwei Starfield is a medium-sized starfield after all, it has more resources and treasures, and the quality is higher. I was there. As long as Zhen Wushuang paid some price, he should be able to find a way to restore the demon flame's body to 30%. This is also the real reason why Zhen Wushuang will force Jiyu Yuanxing to hand over 100 cosmic source stones to pay for his sins. There is no way. He is poor. He needs cosmic source stones. A lot of cosmic source stones. But my strength improvement over the years has indeed been too great. Even I don't even know what level of real strength has reached. After all, the strongest I have ever encountered before is Star Demon Patriarch and Demon Star. At the level of the Lord, and now it is difficult to encounter the leader of the ancient star, but also the fourth level to dominate the combat power, but it is clear that the strong in this level has no challenge to me. If there is a chance, I would like to play against the real strong and see how much it makes me clear. What is my specific combat power now? Zhen Wushuang chuckled. He now only has a rough judgment on his own strength, but how far he has reached and how strong he is, and he can't be sure if he hasn't played against the real strong. So, he really longed for meeting some strong men and going to see them. For him now, what can be called a strong man is qualified to make him want to fight, at least it must be the master of the fourth highest level. Cosmic Boat, continue to roam in the galaxy. Along the way, I will continue to encounter a team, and the star thieves who intercepted these teams. But there is no doubt that when these star thieves saw the spacecraft in which Zhen Wushuang was riding, they did not dare to plunder thousands or even block the way. After a while, the spacecraft continued to travel in this Xinghe for more than 500 years. Over the past 500 years, Zhen Wushuang has been unimpeded along the way, without any star thieves dare to block the road, and has not encountered unnecessary trouble. And on this day, the spacecraft passed normally in a corner of Xinghe. In this corner, there was a team of no less than 100 people on the island. When they saw the spacecraft, they immediately retreated to the surrounding void and were afraid to go. Block the way of this cosmic boat. The speed of the spacecraft did not stop at all, and soon disappeared into the line of sight of this team. However, in this 100-person Star Island team, there was an unremarkable master, but his eyes suddenly widened. This spacecraft. I have seen it. Blue River, what are you talking about? A blue warframe man next to him looked over. The Lord of the Clouds is the spaceship owned by the Lord of the Clouds, exclaimed the master named Blue River. In the vast universe, many of the cosmic boats are very similar in appearance, and some are even standard cosmic boats. They are all exactly the same, so if you just look at it from the mirror image, you can't really distinguish the universe. Which boat is it? However, the dominator of the Blue River itself comes from the starfield where Demon Star is located, and he has seen the Demon Star Master show his might, and he also took out this cosmic boat. Not only the appearance is the same, even the breadth of the array on the cosmic boat is exactly the same. Because of this, I am the master of the Blue River. Now I see it again and recognize the spacecraft at a glance. The spaceship of the Lord of the Clouds. The blue war armor man next to him frowned. How do you know the owner of this spaceship? Yes. The Blue River dominated the main point. This spacecraft was originally a master of the second level of the astral world, the master of the magic cloud star. The master of the magic cloud star itself is a master of the third level peak. It's also for the sake of it, but not long ago, when a friend of mine from the star field where Moryun Star was located communicated with me, he told me that the Lord of Moryun was dead. When I was attacking an inaccessible meteor field, he was counterattacked by the powerful in the field and killed him by special means, and his cosmic boat seemed to fall into the inaccessible meteor field. One of the strong. Oh. The blue warframe man looked. You mean, the cosmic boat that just passed by us, its owner, comes from a small star field? Yes. Blue River dominates the focus. Are you sure? The blue warframe man asked. Of course you can be sure. Blue River dominated with great certainty. This is a bit interesting. The blue warframe man's eyes narrowed slightly. A star field that doesn't flow into the sky, the strongest person, only the third level in the sky, right? It may even be only the second series. Own a spacecraft. Chapter 4010. The first is here. Ziwei-Xing Hanoi, star-stealing forces are numerous, and these star-stealing forces are also strong and weak. Like the ancient Yuanxing, it is recognized in Ziwei-Xinghe that it is enough to rank in the top 10 Xing-Dao forces, but although the strength of the ancient Yuan star is not weak, if it is compared with those that are enough to rank in the top 5 or even the top 3, when you get up, you will be a lot behind. Void Star, recognized by the entire Ziwei-Xinghe, is absolutely in the top 3 star island forces, and even faintly ranked first by the many star islands of Ziwei-Xinghe. Void stars occupy more of the territory in Ziwei-Xinghe than the ancient stars. Already, there are 17 leaders in the ancient Yuan-Xing, from high to low, and these leaders are often changed. And Void Star, from the beginning to the present, from beginning to end, there are only 3 leaders, all 3 of which are powerful 4th-ranking masters, especially the first leader Mo Chen, has become famous for a long time. Many years ago, it has been regarded as the top one in the Purple Star domain. Regarding strength, the first leader of the Void Star is definitely the most powerful one in the 4th rank. In the Towering Palace, the 3 leaders of the Void Star gathered. You said that the cosmic boat came from a small star field that did not flow? Mo Chen, the first leader of Void Star, dominated, overlooking the 2 men kneeling below. The 2 men were the blue warframe man who saw the spacecraft before, and the Blue River dominated. That's what the Blue River said. The man in the blue battle armor said. Going back to the boss, I can be sure that the cosmic ship was originally the Lord of the Clouds, and the Lord of the Clouds did die in an inaccessible small star domain. On the way back, I also asked me carefully. My friends in the star also confirmed that this is true. Blue River dominated. I was affirmed by the of the Blue River, and the 3 leaders of Void Star looked at each other. The stars that do not enter, and do not even have a name, are generally the strongest, only dominated by the second series. As long as a few third-order dominates are possible, and this cosmic boat comes from the meteor field, the person on the cosmic boat is afraid of its strength, said the second leader Shensheng. This is the case, but the other party can kill the Lord of the Clouds. Although some special means or hole cards are used, who knows if there is still such a means and hole cards? Said the third leader. Blue River, talk about the specific strength of the Demon Lord, and how exactly the Demon Lord was killed. Can you figure it out? The first leader, Mo Chen, looked down. The 3 leaders, my friend, is a master of His Majesty Lord. 40,000 years ago, when my Majesty led his army to the area that did not enter the meteor domain, my friend did not followed, but stayed in the demon star, so he didn't know much about the specific situation. But one thing is certain, the star field is really not strong, only because there are several battlefields left, only to appear something special. The Lord of the Devil Star has always been only the peak of the third level, but when he went to the film that did not enter the meteor field, it seemed to have reached the fourth level, and the film that did not enter the meteor field the person should have spent a tremendous price and means, plus the relationship between the Lord of the Devil and the cloud was too undervalued, and then he died there. After he died, the cosmic boat seemed to have fallen into that star. The strongest player in the field, a second level dominates. Blue River dominated solemnly. After listening to the narrative dominated by the Blue River, the eyes of the three leaders light up. A second level dominator, even if he has some means in his hand, can at best threaten the general fourth level dominator. Then, the Lord of the Clouds has only just broken through, and he will only be killed if he cares. Die, but the three of us are different from the Lord of the Demon Clouds. The second leader smiled. Not three of them have just broken through the fourth level, but have stayed at the fourth level for a long time. Like the second leader and the third leader, that is also the fourth level advanced dominating combat power, and the strongest first leader is the proper fourth level peak performance. With such strength, naturally there is sufficient capital. Brother, do you want to do this business? Both the second leader and the third leader looked at Mo Chen to dominate. Of course. Mo Chen dominated and smiled. It is a complete spacecraft, even if it is the lowest, it is also equivalent to 60 cosmic source stones. It is worthwhile for the three of us to take action. Brother, you have to do it yourself? The second leader showed surprise. In his opinion, the opponent is just a lucky second-level master. The three of them can go to one of them enough to kill each other and take back the spacecraft. Why do they need to shoot at the same time? Be careful, maybe the spaceship master is really just a second-level master. We can easily kill him, but in case the strength of the spaceship master is not the case, then you and I will join forces. As long as it is not the fifth-level master, or the terrible existence like Mr. Ju Shu, at least self-protection is no problem. Said Mo Chen. Well, too. The second and third leaders nodded. The three leaders of Zunwuxing are able to live well in this Ziwei Xinghe, not only because of their strong strength, but most importantly, they are very cautious and will not take risks easily. Even this time, they already knew that the other party came from a non-meteor domain and it was estimated that it was only a second-level master, but for the sake of insurance, they decided to dispatch 3 people at the same time. Soon, the 3 leaders of Void Star set off. There are countless star thieves under the starry sky, but these 3 leaders have only brought a few strong masters this time, adding up to less than 20 people. They directly use the cosmic channel. Elder ancient stars have cosmic channels, and vanity stars that are much more powerful than ancient stars have more cosmic channels and are more complete. Through the cosmic passage, they went to the front of Jian Wushuang early. The beautiful Xinghe, the ancient cosmic boat is still moving. In the cosmic boat, Jian Wushuang and his wife are playing a game of chess, while the magic flame is standing beside it and watching quietly. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang looked. Demon Flame also looked up sternly. The two of them have sensed that a lot of strong breath is approaching, and the speed is extremely fast. I thought that apart from the ancient Yuan Xing before, there should be no more trouble to look at us like that, but now it seems that is not the case. Jian Wushuang sighed lightly. He didn't expect that he was riding a cosmic boat, and there were people who came to trouble him. Chapter 40:11. Hey, the second is here. The cosmic boat has stopped, and more than a dozen strong men from the Void Star have also appeared in front of the cosmic boat. Inside the boat, Fu Jun, the people who came to this door seem to be very strong. Leng Rushuang frowned slightly. Well, it is very strong. Jian Wushuang also nodded slightly. Although the other party has not yet actively revealed his breath, he can sense a lot of things by his sensing ability. Master, should I do it? Moyan said. No, you two are just staying in the cosmic boat. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, but his figure had already walked out of the boat. Wu Jian Wushuang came to the outer space boat, and his gaze looked directly at the more than 10 people in front of him. The imaginary people are staring at Jian Wushuang at this moment. Surely dominate the second series? Seeing Jian Wushuang, Zun Wuxing's 3 leaders laughed. Brother, it seems that your previous worry is unnecessary. The third leader smiled. Be careful, you can never be wrong. Mo Chen dominated with a smile. You are the owner of this spaceship. Mo Chen dominated and stared at Jian Wushuang. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. I don't know why you are blocking me. Well, the Lord of the Clouds is also a master of the second level of the astral world, but also the 4th master of the dignity. Will it be planted in the hands of people like you? The second leader of Void Star sneered. Master of the Devil Star? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. Obviously, the other party should recognize his cosmic boat, which is the one of the Lord of the Clouds. This Ziwei Xinghe is not too far away from the star field where the magic cloud star is located, and the magic cloud star is too angry in that star domain name. The strong men who have come out of that star field are probably aware of the magic cloud star. Lord, there is a strong man from that star field who became a star thief after coming to this Ziwei Xinghe, and it is also normal. Jian Wushuang secretly said. Boy. Mo Chen dominated. Leave the spacecraft, you can go. Oh. Jian Wushuang frowned. The master of Morchen still stayed on the line, but just let him leave the cosmic boat, and did not want to kill him. It was more kind than the ancient Yuan Xing. What if I don't agree? Jian Wushuang's mouth had a playful smile. If you don't agree, you can only die. Mo Chen dominated his eyes and said, kill him. As soon as his voice came down, he didn't need himself and the other 2 leaders to shoot. There were already a few starry strong men around him who couldn't hold back and attacked directly. I chose to take a shot. There were a total of 5 people, all of whom were dominated by the 3rd rank, and 2 of them even reached the peak of the 3rd rank. 5 3rd-level masters shot at the same time to deal with a 2nd-level master. In the eyes of the many powerful vanity stars, Jian Wushuang is already a dead person. Unexpectedly, sword unparalleled shot. He didn't take out the Wu weapon sword, but just took the finger as a sword, and the wind was light. In a moment, a horrific sword surged directly. The whole Xinghe was caught in this shocking sword storm at this moment. What? The 5 3rd-level masters were frightened. They only felt that the sword storm that they had fallen into at this moment was endless and terrifying. The cricket was almost dying, the sword and shadow storm passed over the 5 people, the 5-person body collapsed, and the breath was instantly cut off. With only 1 sword in hand, Zun beheaded and killed 5 3rd-level masters. This scene shocked many powerful men from the Void Star behind, including those 3 leaders. This is so terrible sword meaning. Apart from that, this person's perception of the origin of Kendo universe has absolutely reached a very high level. The gazes of the 3 chiefs all became dignified. Looks like he can slay the demon lord of the cloud, not just by accident. Mo Chen's voice was also lowered. The 2nd leader and the 3rd leader had a solemn look on their faces. They are not fools. Although Jian Wushuang was only a 2nd-level player in the past, and the master from the meteor domain was not in the eyes, with the sword Wushuang's shot, the strength revealed at this moment is already impossible. Stop them from being solemn. No doubt, Jian Wushuang's combat power is at least the 4th level. 2nd and 3rd, you 2 shot together, be careful. Mo Chen dominated Shen Chen. The 2nd leader and the 3rd leader nodded one after the other, followed immediately by 2 strong breaths of divine power. This 2nd leader is directly transformed into a huge black alien beast. This black alien beast is extremely innocent, exuding an endless violent breath on his body, and time is like black lightning galloping towards the sword unparalleled. As for the 3rd leader, he took out a broad-edged sword, which has a 3-meter factory. As his body skyrocketed, the 3-meter-long sword also followed the skyrocketing, and then it was crushed and crushed. The 2 leaders shot at the same time, and that power alone was enough to make people frightened. In the cosmic boat, Demon Flame has been paying attention to the outside scene, but the moment the 2 leaders saw their shots, their eyes and pupils shrank sharply. These 2 are very strong, one-on-one, I may not be an opponent. Magic Flame solemnly. What? Cold as frost changed, Na Fujuan. Mrs. Rest assured, these two may be very strong, but in front of the host but not enough to see. Mo Yang smiled. Others don't know the specific strength of Jian Wushuang, but this magic flame knows a little. He knows that the current Jian Wushuang's combat power is extremely strong, which is not comparable to the ordinary 4th-rank master. Qi Jian Wushuang stood in front of the spacecraft, watching the two leaders attack and kill him, but his face was very strange. Both of them obviously have the 4th level to dominate the combat power, and they are estimated to have reached a higher level. I am afraid that they are slightly stronger than the big leader of the ancient Yuan star I encountered before. Just these two people have such strength, and the strongest seems to have not shot yet. Alas, the Ziwei Xinghe Xingdao power is also very strong, 1 power, even has 3 4th ranks at the same time master. Jian Wushuang admired, but his slap was doubled, and Wu Wei's Excalibur had already appeared in his hands. Xian Hanoi, Jian Wushuang directly engaged with these two leaders. Howl! A gorgeous Zhenguang emerged out of thin air. This sword light is even more dazzling than the surrounding Xinghe, and the sword light is huge and immortal. After it appeared, it immediately filled the surrounding half of the Xinghe. In a blink of an eye, it was with the black beast that came from the storm and Na Hao. The mighty sword lights collided. Chapter 40:12. The first is here. Peng peng. Clang. 2 successive sounds of clanging sounded in Xinghe. The black alien beast transformed by the second boss, after colliding with Jian Guang, actually rolled backwards. As for the mighty blade of light of the third leader, the power of the third leader's body surface was directly suppressed. You too weak. Sword Was eyes carried a slight disdain, but the Wu Cry Excalibur in his hand was cut again. Still the wind is light and the sword is cut freely. Suddenly, however, there was an astonishing sword image that seemed to be able to split the sky and stars into 2 halves. This shocking sword shadow exudes suffocating terrible power. Even though they are the second and third bosses of Void Star, they are both dominated by the 4th rank, but at the moment when they saw the sword shadow, their complexion was not changed. Not good. I always stood outside the battlefield of the starless leader. Mo Chen was also shocked, but immediately shot. Howl. He only heard a sudden explosion in Xinghe, a figure falling from the sky, like a peerless war from above the universe. He held a giant axe and cut it off instantly. He also had an axe that was astonishingly shocking, and instantly collided with the sword light that Jian Wushuang waved. The 2 horrible powers collided madly together, which actually caused the surrounding vast galaxy to tremble violently. Under the collision of these 2 powerful powers, they seemed to have completely lost their color. After a short while, the power was completely exhausted. Jian Wushuang is still standing in front of the cosmic boat, but in front of him, the 3 chiefs of the Void Star stand side by side. The 3 chiefs have long lost their previous contempt. Instead, the 3 of them looked at the moment. They are extremely dignified. This person is very powerful. Indeed, it's just that my brother and my brother are joining forces, not his opponent. The third leader also said. Just that axe, I almost used my full strength, but I collided with his sword light, but it didn't occupy the slightest advantage. This strength alone must be the master of the 4th level. Mo Chen said the master. Qi Morchen dominated himself as the 4th level peak, but Jian Wushuang confronted him head-on, and did not fall into the downwind. This combat force is naturally the 4th level peak. It's finally a character who can see a little bit. Jian Wushuang looked at the 3 with a smile. Brother, this boy is not weak, we may work together to kill him. The second leader said directly. Then let's do it together. Mo Chen dominated his eyes cold, the next moment hum. A vast and turbulent dark airflow swept up directly. This dark airflow was cold, dark, and desperate. As this dark airflow swept away, the original dazzling galaxy was directly covered by a boundless darkness. The endless dark airflow filled the surrounding void, and Mo Chen, who is at the center of this dark airflow, dominated. It is the supreme god who controls this endless darkness. Howl. Wow. Wow. The master of Morchen shot directly. He held a huge axe in each hand. Both of them were dark and cold. In this endless dark void, The shadows of the cold axe flashed away, directly toward sword unparalleled. Quick, almost to the extreme, and each of these cut axe shadows is extremely powerful, even if it is the sword unparalleled, I dare not despise it. Interesting. Wu Jian Wushuang smiled, and the Wu weapon sword in his hand was also waved one after another. It was also the sword light cut out, which contained the profound origin of the Kendo universe. It was easy to resist the shadow of that axe. In the surroundings, the second and third bosses were not idle either. The black beast transformed by the second leader burst into horrific anger, and merged directly into this dark void. Even the soul of Sword's unparalleled soul force could not sense his existence. Through the cover of this dark void, the second leader shot from time to launch a fatal blow. As for the third leader, in this dark void, his strength has also been improved to a certain extent. His body has skyrocketed, as if the demon came into the world, and the sword in his hand was cut out incomparably. The three leaders of the Xuanwu Palace and the fourth leader of the three mages have all their strengths at this moment. The purpose is of course to cut and kill Jian Wushuang. I have to say that the strength of these three leaders is indeed extremely good, and the cooperation is very tacit. The three together, it is enough to suppress the general of the fourth level peak. Like now, the three of them joined forces and go all out. Jian Wushuang seems to have been completely suppressed by the three of them. In this boundless dark void, Jian Wushuang just continued to perform sword skills to resist surrounding attacks, and it seemed that he was completely trapped in the siege of the three leaders and could not escape. After a moment of effort, Jian Wushuang shook his head. His expression was obviously a little disappointed. Can you three join forces to such an extent? What? The three chiefs of the Void Palace were all surprised. This is indeed their strongest strength, but the owner of this spacecraft seems to be very dissatisfied with the strength of the three of them. This kind of strength is barely qualified to let me really perform swordplay. Jian Wushuang said indifferently. Cast swordsmanship? The three leaders were all stunned, and they found out that from the time of the three of them to the present, the other side has just been waving the sword lightly and freely. From the beginning to the end, the opponent has never performed any powerful sword skills or tricks. You must know that the three leaders have also seen the brief confrontation. Although the owner of the cosmic boat in front of him is lower, his divine power is not weaker than the fourth-level master. The key is that the perception of the origin of Kendo universe is too high. And the Kendo universe has such a high level of origin, how could it not have created a powerful sword skill or a trick? If I'm not mistaken, the three of you have gained some strength in this dark void, and the cooperation of the three of you has largely depended on this dark void to perform? Jian's eyes were cold, and he looked around at the three of them. Since this is the case, I have broken this dark void. And my sword, the name just happens to be Kaitian. Wu Jian's voice slowly sounded in the dark void, and his right hand had lifted the Wu weapon sword high, and a horrible power had begun to condense in his sword. Chapter 40:13. Hey, the second is here. It has been more than 40,000 years since the end of the war with Demon Star. In these years, Sword unparalleled because of the control of the relationship between the heaven and the will of God in the early days, the speed of progress has been outrageous. His understanding of Kendo has reached an extremely high level. Naturally in swordplay, he has also studied it. In recent years, he has created a variety of swordsmanships. Any swordsmanship performed is enough to marvel the fourth-ranked master. Nowadays, the style of Kaitian cast by Jian Wushuang, but on the level of mystery, has gone beyond the scope of the general fourth grade. This sword is a terrible swordplay that purely crushes people and forcibly tears everything. Under the infusion of the huge divine power of Jian Wushuang at this moment, this sword has become extremely scary. Howl. Finally, the sword was cut out. After a while, the world was completely silent. The three chiefs of Xuanwu Palace all had their eyes widened, and now they finally understood why Jian Wushuang did not use real swordsmanship from beginning to end. It turned out that it was because his swordplay was too strong and terrible. This sword art, if it was performed earlier, the three of them might have fled away, and now they are performing. Hello. The endless black airflow is cut off directly. It was originally in the void of endless darkness, as if it was reopened by creatures to divide the day and the night. This endless dark void was directly cut off, and the terrifying sword sweeping swept across even the three leaders. The leader with the strongest strength was okay. With his own strength, he could easily resist this affected force. But the two leaders, under the impact of the sword, were unusually embarrassed. They managed to stop their bodies barely, and their bodies had already suffered a certain degree of damage under the influence of the sword. This is simply not a level. The second leader looked terrified. The divine power is comparable, but his swordsmanship is terrible. The third leader also said, I am afraid that many fifth-level masters who are good at kendo may not be able to match. With such swordsmanship in hand, his combat power is definitely among the top and most terrifying ones. The three of me alone, let alone kill him, even if you want to compete with him, it is very difficult. Mo Chen dominated his eyes coldly. Do NT have any thoughts on this spacecraft anymore? Let's go quickly. Withdraw. The second leader and the third leader did not hesitate. I just scared them with that sword. But they were just about to leave. Come when you want to come, go where you want to go. How easy is that? Jian Wushuang chuckled, and saw that the sword in his hand was waving again. In a moment, a hazy mist swept directly out. The mist swept through it extremely fast, at least much faster than the three chiefs fleeing. Almost instantly, the mist of the sky had completely covered the three chiefs. Immediately after being covered by the mist, all three leaders immediately felt a horrible sword in their surroundings from the surrounding mist, and at the same time carried an extraordinary force of magic. French array clip with sword meaning? Is this sword array? Mo Chen dominated his pupils and shrank. Yeah, that's the sword array. No matter how many swordsmanship swords created in recent years, how powerful these swordsmanship are. Like the sky-opening style just now, the simple level and the mystery are comparable to many of the strongest tricks of the 5th series. However, Kai Tian is not the strongest sword skill of Jian Wushuang at all. The truly strongest and most terrible sword warrior is the 3 sword formations he created. Misty sword formation, wave light sword formation, earth guard sword formation, 1 attack and kill, 1 entangled enemy, and 1 absolute body defense. These 3 sword formations have formed the most complete sword formation system. In recent years, while Sword Wushuang has improved kendo perception and created various sword skills, his research on the 3 sword formations has never fallen. For 40,000 years, the 3 major sword formations have already reached a whole new level. And now this hazy mist is sweeping out, what Jian Wushuang is casting. It is truly the most terrifying hazy sword formation among the 3 major sword formation. Since it's here, don't pay a bit, don't think about leaving so simple. Jian Wushuang smiled, and the hazy sword array had already exerted its terrible power. I saw all the hazy mist enveloped, and all the terrifying Zhenguang directly attacked the 3 chiefs of the Void Star without any sign. Although these 3 leaders have great strengths, it is difficult to resist the sudden horrible sword light because of the dim mist. Just a face-to-face laugh. The second leader and the third leader were hit by Zhen Guang at the same time. Although they did not immediately die, the body instantly collapsed, and the divine power was more than half consumed. No. After the second leader and the third leader recovered their bodies, they were completely frightened. Second brother, third brother, then the master of Morchen was frightened. He has the strongest strength. Although he was also attacked by Zhen Guang and the body was damaged, he did not collapse directly. But the second leader and the third leader were obviously unable to resist. I was another round of Zhen Guang. Brother, run away. Run away. The hysterical roar of the hysteria emanated from the mouth of the second leader, who was directly drowned by Zhen Guang. There was no room for struggle and he died on the spot. As for the third leader also entered the footsteps of the second leader. This scene was dominated by Na Moken's eyes, and he was instantly crazed, but he was angry and crazy again, and he also knew that the strength of the opponent was not what he could compete with. He himself is only worthy of life in this sword array, he can't save the lives of the second and third leaders, he can only watch these 2 leaders die in front of him. You must know that the 3 chiefs of the Palace of Nihilism have existed since the establishment of the Palace of Nihilism. The relationship between them is unparalleled. But now, in an accident, the two leaders died directly, and even he is now on the verge of life and death. Ah! A frantic roar saw that Morchen, who had fallen into despair, was dominated by the sudden. His body suddenly became scarlet, and a horrifying breath swept out of him. At this moment, his strength and his speed suddenly skyrocketed to a whole new level. This sudden change caused Zhen Wushuang to be slightly surprised, but before he shot, the whole body of Scarlet Morchen had directly rushed out of the coverage of the sword array and fled wildly towards the surrounding Xinghe. The speed is so fast that even Zhen Wushuang has no desire to chase. Chapter 40:14. The first is here. How fast can you escape? Zhen Wushuang watched that Mo Chen dominated disappeared into his sight, and his heart was secretly shocked. Jrna Moken's dominance obviously showed his life-saving hole card, and the life-saving hole card was very good. Even Zhen Shuangshuang let him escape if he didn't check it. However, it's not bad to have killed two fourth-ranked masters. Zhen Wushuang smiled, beckoned, and the treasures left by the two leaders of the Void Palace and Qian Kunji came to him. Wu Zhensu counted slightly, his eyes were bright. Yes, it is worthy of being the fourth-level master, and it is also the star thief leader who plundered in this Ziwei Xinghe all year round. Although there is no rule of treasure in his hands, his net worth is quite good. It is estimated that it is comparable to 150 universe source stones. Zhen Wushuang smiled. He used to suppress the ancient Yuanxing with his own strength before he finally got 100 cosmic source stones, which is still under the premise that the ancient Yuanxing hurt his muscles. But now he came to intercept his star thief, obviously more ancient Jiyu Xing, and his family is naturally thicker. After the treasure was collected, Zhen Wushuang returned to the cosmic boat. As for the Void Star thieves who came with the three leaders at the same time, they were frightened and fled. Zhen Wushuang was too lazy to chase. Soon, the spacecraft continued to move forward. In the void far from the battlefield just now, a scarlet bloodlight suddenly stopped, and a figure slowly emerged. This figure is naturally dominated by Mo Chen, who has just escaped from the swordless hands. As the leader of the Void Star, and the master of the fourth-level peak, for a long time, this Morchen dominated the Ziwei Xinghe River almost all sideways, but today, second and third brother, Yang Morchen dominated the gloomy and terrible complexion, and in those icy eyes were filled with hatred. The three chiefs of Zun Wuxing were originally brothers who came together from life and death. Later, the three joined forces to create the Qian Wuxing. In terms of emotion, they are no less than their brothers. Today, his second and third brothers were directly killed by him. He saw the whole process in his eyes, but there was no way to do it. Even he could only perform the life-saving secrets before he could recover his life. Too strong. That man is obviously the second-level master, but his strength is outrageous. Not only is the divine power not weaker than the fourth-level master, the most important thing is his understanding of the origin of kendo, and that terrible thing. Extreme swordsmanship, especially the last sword formation class. The scene where Zhen Morchen dominated his mind immediately appeared the scene of Zhen Wushuang casting his hazy sword array. As soon as the sword array came out, the dim sword light suddenly attacked from all corners. It was incredible, and the most important thing was that the power was also outrageous. That sword array is too scary. In the face of such a sword array, even if my strength is several times stronger, I am afraid there is no chance of survival. Mo Chen's dominated face has been distorted, the power gap is too big, well, even if he killed the second and third brothers, I can't get revenge. The master of Mo Chen undoubtedly wanted to avenge his two brothers. However, Zhen Wushuang's unfolding strength made him desperate. It is absolutely impossible for him to avenge himself, at least not now. Zhen Wushuang rides in a cosmic boat and glides through the Xinghe, apparently just passing through the Ziwei Xinghe, not to mention that the other party has such combat power in the second level, and the talent potential is far stronger than him, that is to say, just miss now. It is almost impossible for him to find Zhen Wushuang in the future. No, he must die. No matter what the price is, even if it is my life, I will kill him and take revenge for my second and third brothers. Ji Morchen dominated his hands and his nails were already in the flesh. In his mind, he was desperately thinking about the method to kill the other party. At this moment, I didn't know how many thoughts flashed, but most of them were not sure the other party. Suddenly, Mo Chen dominated his eyes. Mr. Ju Shu. The master of Mo Chen remembered someone. This is a transcendent character that is enough to make Mo Chen dominate the terror. You know, the strength dominated by Mo Chen is almost sideways in the Ziwei Xinghe. A large number of star theft forces in Ziwei Xinghe, although not dominated by some fourth level, but the strength can be comparable to the of Mo Chen. Just one or two. Although the strength can be comparable to Mo Chen's dominance, Mo Chen's dominion does not dare to oppose each other. But Mr. Joshu was absolutely qualified to make Mo Chen dominate the terror, but imagine the terrible strength of the other side. Yes, find Mr. Joshu. With his strength, it should be enough to kill the cosmic boatmaster. As long as I can invite him, I will have the opportunity to avenge the second and third brothers. Mo Chen's eyes flashed with light. After making a decision, he set off immediately. A part of Ziwei Xinghe, this place is occupied by a star-stealing force, which is called Bingshan Valley. In terms of strength, this Bingshan Valley can't be compared with large star theft forces such as Void Star and Ancient Yuan Star, and it is even worse than many star thieves in Ziwei Star Hanoi. It's just that it is inconspicuous a small star-stealing force. Her Majesty's Star Island is only 100 people. The previous leader is only a second-level dominated. However, since the arrival of a mysterious strongman thousands of years ago, this place of Bingshan Valley in Ziwei Xinghe is completely different. Although the current strength of Bingshan Valley is still far from the strength of those large star thieves, the large star-stealing forces are as strong as nothingness, and the ancient Yuanxing are absolutely afraid to provoke Bingshan Valley. The reason why this is so is the mysterious powerhouse in Bingshan Valley. His name is Ju Shu. Woohoo! Ji Morchen dominated the cosmic channel of the Void Star and came out of Bingshan Valley at the fastest speed. As soon as I was troubled, I said, Mo Chen, the leader of the Void Star, came to meet Mr. Ju Shu. The star thieves in Bingshan Valley were shocked when they heard the words of Mo Chen. The leader of the Void Star? That is the top super-existence of the entire Ziwei Xinghe. Such a super-existence, the whole Ziwei Xinghe that shivered on weekdays would tremble, and their Ice Heart Valley was not qualified to contact such a super-existence before, but now the other party came to visit on their own initiative, but was extremely honest, without any clue. All of this is because of the adult in Bingshan Valley. Soon, the star thieves in Bingshan Valley went to report. Chapter 40:15. Hey, the second is here. In Beibing Xingu, in a humble wooden house, a white-haired long-bearded man sat on a futon. This white-haired long-bearded man was thin and thin, as if the wind could blow it down. However, such a person who looks extremely thin has an unprecedented reputation in Ziwei Xinghe. His name is enough to make the top leaders of Ziwei Xinghe star fright. Hit him, it's Ju Shu. A penancer wandering alone in the universe. According to the star thieves of Bingshan Valley's understanding of this Mr. Jisoo, this Mr. Jisoo has lived a number of chaos ages, and these chaos ages have been wandering and wandering all over the universe. Most people are different. Like Jian Wushuang, they came from their hometown and wandered into the universe with a clear purpose. That is to go to a wider territory, see more worlds, and fight with more powerful people, so as to enhance their own strength. However, this is not the case for Mr. Ju Shu. He is wandering in the universe. He has never thought of where to go, but where to go. He is a real man who can endure the lonely years of loneliness. And now, the master of Mo Chen has come to this Mr. Ju Shu. Void Star Morchen met Mr. Ju Shu. How Morchen, who dominates Mo Chen, is also the leader of the Void Star, but in front of this Mr. Ju Shu, he looks extremely respectful. Morchen dominates. Mr. Joshu looked up and glanced at Morchen Dominion. 3,000 years ago, I said to you when I defeated you, if one day you make great progress or break through to reach the 5th level, Count, you can come and challenge me. Could you come today and have made a great breakthrough in strength? This is not the case. Mo Chen dominated and shook his head. I came here today because I met a strong man whose strength is terrible. I think you should be interested in Mr. Ju Shu.
Oh.
Mr. Ju Shu stared at Mo Chen. The master of Lu Morchen was smirking. The master of Mo Chen knows some things about Mr. Jisoo. When he came to Ziwei Xinghe, he directly found the top leaders of the top star-stealing forces and directly shot these strengths up to the 4th level. The leaders of the 4th-ranked peak were defeated. I have all left words. If you have made great progress or made a big breakthrough, you can go to Bingshan Valley directly to find him. Obviously, this Mr. Ju Shu is not only a penancer, but also an extremely belligerent man who is very eager to fight the strong. Like many of the star thieves in Zihexing Hanoi now, none of them can enter the eyes of this Mr. Ju Shu. Even if Mo Chen dominates himself, in the eyes of this Mr. Jisoo, there is no difference from the general star thief. Such people have only themselves and powerful opponents in their eyes. Because of this, the master of Mo Chen dared to invite Mr. Ju Shu. According to the master of Mo Chen, the master of the spacecraft was also extremely terrible, at least much stronger than him. Such a strong man, this Ju Shu, it should be more interesting. Sure enough, Mr. Ju Shu asked, "Who is the person you said? Where is he? What is it?" "He's right here in Xinghe. As for his name, I don't know, but he has a cosmic boat in his hands. As for repair, he should be the master of the 2nd level." Morchen dominated the road. "What?" Mr. Ju's face changed, staring at Mo Chen coldly. "Are you playing with me?" "No, no." Morchen, the master, shook his head again and again. "Mr. Jusu, you don't know. Although the master of the spacecraft is only a 2nd-level master, his real combat power is terrible. Definitely the most extreme and terrible kind of 4th series. Not long ago, I joined forces with my 2nd and 3rd brothers. They wanted to kill him and win the cosmic boat, but they were defeated directly by him and they were crushed. My 2nd and 3rd brothers all died in his hands. Even me, only by performing mystery of life-saving, escaped by chance. That man killed your 2nd and 3rd brothers. You want to get revenge, so you came to me?" Mr. Ju Shu still stared at Mo Chen. Ji Morchen dominated his heart. This was indeed his real purpose. Mr. Ju Shu obviously saw it through at a glance, but he was not surprised. "I do have this purpose, but the strength of that person is terrible. There is no doubt about this. Although his divine power is only the normal 4th level, his understanding of the origin of Kendo universe is counted even in the 1st place. Among the 5th-level masters, I am afraid that it is also the best, and his sword skill is even more terrible. He also knows a sword array. Once the sword array comes out, only 2 rounds of attacks will directly kill my 2 brothers. I'm struggling, even me. You know, he drives the sword array to deal with my 3 brothers at the same time. If he drives the sword array to focus on one person, the power will be even more terrible." Mo Chen dominated a little. Sword formation? Against 3 people at the same time, only 2 rounds of attacks killed 2 masters of the 4th level and higher level. Mr. Ju's eyes flashed, apparently already intrigued. Ju Mochen's dominator is pretty good. This Mr. Ju Shu is not only a penancer, but also an extremely belligerent man. Because of the militancy, every time he passes by a starfield, he will try every means to challenge the top power of that starfield. Even when he came to this Ziwei Xinghe, he did not converge. He is just now that Ziwei Xinghe Hanoi, no one can be seen by him, but now the master of the cosmic boat described by Mo Chen as the master, has made Mr. Joshu interested. The strength of your 3 brothers is not weak, especially when you join forces. Even if you are the general 4th level peak, you can still suppress it. Even if you have time, you will have the opportunity to behead it, but this time the 3 of you will join forces. Even being easily defeated by the other side and beheading 2 people, this alone, the strength of the cosmic boatmaster must be the most extreme of the 4th series, and may even be stronger. I really want to play against such a strong man. Mr. Ju Shu laughed. The owner of the spacecraft is very strong, but for you Mr. Ju Shu, I am afraid that it is nothing. Mo Chen dominated and complimented. Take me to him. Mr. Ju Shu stood up. Ji Morchen was immediately overjoyed. Don't be too happy too soon. Mr. Ju Shu glanced at the master of Mo Chen. I went to him, I just wanted to fight him. As for killing him then, it depends on my mood. Chapter 40:16. One more today. I went to him, I just wanted to fight him. As for killing him then, it depends on my mood. The words of Mr. Ju Shu made Mo Chen dominate his heart, but he did not dare to say more. Immediately, the master of Mo Chen led the way in person, and took the Mr. Ju Shu to chase the spacecraft of sword unparalleled. The cosmic boat traveled all the way in Xinghe, and the sword Wushuang in the cosmic boat did not practice for a moment. He knows the vastness and danger of the universe. Even though he has some strength now, he is only limited to some marginal areas of the universe. If he is better than him in the depths of the universe, he may be a lot. Even in the truly core parts of the universe, there are many, even the most powerful ones. Stubborn as the Supreme, he will also die, even if he is the ancestor of the founder of the Red Cloud, the dignified top-level strength, he died in that fierce battle. Because of this, Jian Wushuang did not dare to slacken in the slightest. Only by constantly getting stronger and climbing towards the top of the universe, one day, when he reaches Lingyun Master, or a stronger level, I am afraid that he will be qualified to truly escape the universe. Now he is too far away from that level. In these years, I have been trying to merge the sixth dark rule. It feels that my distance is really fused. It's just a slight difference, but I always feel that I see A and T really mingle together. Maybe it's because I'm too comfortable now. With the kind of oppression in the divine realm before the beginning of the early years, we can't really integrate it. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but think. Yes, he is really very comfortable now. In fact, since the crisis in the early world of the gods was lifted, he has controlled the power of the heavenly will of the early world of gods, and he has been extremely comfortable. The burden that he has been pressing on before has been completely relieved. I want to know that when Jian Wushuang was weak, he was able to grow up step by step at an alarming rate because of the heavy burden on his body and the constant pressure on him. Now, although with the help of the heavenly will in the early days, he has made greater progress, but without that pressure, Jian Wushuang always feels that it is not easy to make some breakthroughs. Now, even if I fight with the fourth-ranking dominator, I see A&T find a wave in my heart. This time I came to the universe, although the purpose is to go to Joyao Starfield to find the Master's whereabouts. It's also to fight with more powerful men, but although I have shot a few times so far, I can really look forward to it and make me feel pressured, but there is none. Sword Warrior slightly shook his head. Stubborn as dominated by Mo Chen, the fourth-ranked peak of combat power, but for him now, there is no pressure at all. He easily defeated Mo Chen's master. If he was a little more serious, then Mo Chen's master would not have escaped from him. I hope that the next years of turbulence will not be so plain, and I also hope that I can meet some opponents that make me feel pressure and make me look forward to it soon. Jian Wushuang secretly sighed. He was eager to meet and fight with a real strong man, but he ran down all the way, but he never encountered one, which made Jian Wushuang inevitably feel a little lost. And just then, Jian Wushuang suddenly looked up. The power of his soul has sensed the void in front, and two figures are approaching quickly. The two figures, one of whom he knew, was the Mo Chen who escaped by chance, and the other. That man. Jian Wushuang stared at the thin, white-haired man with long hair who had stopped in front of the spacecraft and stood in front of Mo Chen's master. Jian Wushuang has been all the way from the beginning of the divine realm all the way to today, and has always been extremely sensitive to the strong. At the moment when he saw this man with white hair and long beard, Jian Wushuang's heart already had a vague feeling. This man was a strong man. Although she looks very thin, although she doesn't exude any breath, Jian Wushuang can feel the arrogance of the other person's eyebrows. You know, this is in the universe, so you can be so arrogant, it must not be immortal. In addition, the master of Mo Chen came with this person, and even the body is standing behind this person. Respectful. Obviously, this person is much stronger than Mo Chen. No surprise, it should be the strong man that Mo Chen specifically invited to avenge his two brothers. Master, that person feels very strong to me. Mo Yang also solemnly said. I feel the same way. Jian Wushuang nodded, but his face still had a smile on his face, but deep inside he looked with a touch of expectation. He longs to meet the strong, the strong who can really put pressure on him and make him take it seriously. The person in front of him may have this qualification. He did not hesitate. Jian Wushuang left the spacecraft directly and appeared in front of the white-haired long-bearded man. Mr. Ju Shu, he is the owner of this cosmic boat. Don't look at him as the second-level master, but his combat power is extremely terrible. Mo Chen dominated and stared at Jian Wushuang, his eyes seemed to spit fire. Ascetic, Ju Shu. Bai Shu long-haired man stared at Jian Wushuang calmly. Ascetic. Jian Wushuang looked. He went into the universe, but this is the first time he heard the name of a penancer. The master, the ascetic, is the kind of person who wanders among the various territories of the universe all year round, without any purpose, people who are purely for cultivation and strengthening, and most of the ascetics pass by a star field at times. I like to challenge some of the strong ones in the star domain, and constantly fight with the strong, so as to constantly break through and improve myself. It is crazy. In the universe, the ascetics are real lunatics, but there is no doubt that they are very powerful. The voice of the magic flame sounded in the heart of Jian Wushuang. Although the demon flame stays in the spacecraft, it can still communicate with Jian Wushuang consciousness. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows, and secretly wondered. Wandering around the universe all year round, challenging the strong, this practice is really crazy. Blood sword, from a star field that does not flow. Jian Wushuang also said directly. I heard the Lord Morchen around me say that you have defeated the joint of his 3 brothers with your own strength, and your sword formation is extremely terrible. Only 2 rounds of attacks killed his 2 brothers. He can also only use his life-saving mystery to escape, and your strength should be very arrogant. I look forward to you, Ju Shu said indifferently. There is not much time, so I will change it today, and maybe change it tomorrow, but I am not sure. As for the updates owed in the past 2 days, we will make up the day after tomorrow, rest assured. Chapter 40:17. Bloodsword, come up with your full strength. If your strength can satisfy me, maybe I can spare you a life. Ju Shu stood there, indifferent. Live me a life. Really arrogant enough. Jian Wushuang smiled. Me too. If you are disappointed with your strength, you don't have to leave here alive. Oh, a little interesting. Ju Shu smiled. He was an extremely arrogant man, and his strength was really good. Because of this, he was blindsided, and said that Jian Wushuang would be killed, but he did not expect Jian Wushuang to be equally arrogant. And it's clear that both are eager to play against a stronger opponent, and in this regard, they are extremely similar. There is no more nonsense. Ju Shu has already shot directly. I saw that he slowly raised his right hand and pointed away in the direction of Jian Wushuang. With this finger, a dazzling cyan light beam was formed in an instant. This cyan light beam carried the breath of heaven and earth, and directly penetrated through the void towards the sword. Good power. The moment Wu saw Ju's shot, Jian Wu's eyes and pupils shrank. Jian Wushuang is also good at fighting with several 4th-ranked masters, including top powerhouses such as Demon Star Master and Star Demon Patriarch. His eyes are also very good. Now he can see it with just one glance. The terrifying power contained in the Jutsu finger. In terms of divine power alone, these 9 must have reached the extreme of the 4th series, at least more powerful than Mo Chen, the peak of the 4th series. The 9 beards, I'm afraid that brute force alone is enough to crush most of the 4th-ranked peak domination. Jian Wushuang secretly said, but the movement in his hands was not slow at all. The sword was already in his hands. Above the void, Jian Wushuang wielded a simple sword. The sword is bright and magnificent, cut across the galaxy. This bright galaxy seems to be cut directly in half by this sword. Xian Jianguang and the cyan beam from that burst collided with each other, and the horrific power broke out. In the end, Jianguang and the cyan beam annihilated and dissipated. Yes, although divine power is just the 4th level to dominate the hierarchy, but your perception of the origin of Kendo universe is extremely high, and what you hold in your hand should be the rule of treasure, right? Ju Shu stared at the sword Excalibur without hands. Jusu, what about your weapon? Jian Wushuang stared at Ju Shu. He was very clear that the finger just now was just a casual attack by Jushu, relying on purely arrogant divine power. Haha. I have 9 chaotic periods in the universe. I have challenged the unknown. Even if it is the master of the 4th level, there are thousands of people who are fighting with me, but it is worth me to take out weapons against the enemy, but few pitiful. If you do not have enough strength, you are not eligible for me to take out weapons. Jushu laughed brightly. It's really arrogant. Jian Wushuang sneered. However, the Mo Chen who is on the edge of the battlefield is very clear. Ju's words are by no means arrogant, but he does have this capital. You know, when Jushu first came to Ziwei Xinghe, he defeated Ziwei Xinghe's top powerhouse with many star thieves in Ziwei Xinghe. It was empty-handed and did not come up with its own blade. Even though he didn't bring out his sword, Jushu still swept everything. Like Void Star, Mo Chen dominated with his 2 brothers at first, but he defeated easily with nothing in this Jushu. It was because the strength of Jushu was so outrageous that the master of Mo Chen thought that Jushu was capable of beating the sword unparalleled. He deliberately invited this Jushu to come over. How much can you do without using your weapon? Jian Wushuang snorted coldly. He did not tangle with these 9 beards. The opponent did not take out the weapon, and he shot directly with thunder. The sword's unparalleled figure was split into 3 directly, and 3 figures were shot at the same time from 3 different directions towards Mr. Joshu. Suddenly, the weeping sword of Wu Cry in his hand burst into shock, and at this moment, it screamed, "Wow! Wow!" The horrible sword shadows came from 3 different directions at the same time. Quick, incredible, not only fast, but also extremely strange. Even though Mr. Juxu's strength is extremely powerful, his soul perception ability is extremely keen, but at this moment, he can't distinguish the 3 phantoms completely. Which one is sword unparalleled, because in his view, the figure is exactly the same. Purely relying on the body to differentiate 3 different phantoms, so fast, this body is even more weird. Jushu exclaimed, but he still did not mean to take out his weapon, only to see his body startled, the sky's blue light rose, and he seemed to be bathed in a blue ocean. From the cyan ocean, a series of terrible cyan beams burst out in succession. Jian Wushuang relies on 3 figures to attack from 3 directions at the same time, but the cyan ocean that can be transformed into 9 musts is extremely vast. It can attack from all corners in all directions at the same time, and the cyan beams emitted by the bursts are powerful. Strong, amazing. Peng peng, 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 peng. He only heard the dense sound of clashes, ringing in the middle of Xinghe, and Mo Chen, who was on the edge of the battlefield, was already scared and frightened. It's too strong. This blood sword is too fast and weird. The sword skill is extremely powerful. But Mr. Jushu seems to be even better. Until now it is obvious that he has only shot at will, and he has not come up with his true skill, but the blue ocean he transformed is already scary enough. How Morchen dominated how. He is also a 4th level leader at the peak level, but the 2 men who are now fighting in the battlefield, any one of them is suffocating him. And just then, broken. Qi Jian Wushuang screamed suddenly. In the middle of the battlefield, a shocking sword exploded suddenly. The entire Xinghe is completely covered by this shocking sword, and immediately it is extremely violent. With the monstrous sword light of the endless Kendo universe origin, it just chopped down. Xian Zhengguang cut directly on the cyan ocean transformed by Jusu, and the entire cyan ocean suddenly frowned wildly. The cyan light disappeared. After a while, a cyan figure condensed in the void next to it. It actually defeated me in the face. You sword art, indeed. The eye releaser of Jushu had a sharp light, staring at Jian Wushuang, and there was a smile of excitement in the corner of his mouth. Haha, blood sword, I admit that you are qualified to let me take out a weapon. No surprises, tomorrow and the day after tomorrow will be 3 changes, will not owe updates in the past 2 days. Chapter 4018. The first is more. Finally willing to come up with a weapon? Jian Wushuang stared at Jushu calmly. Ju's weapon was a purple spear filled with mori cold air. The purple spear was in his hand, and Jushu also smiled evilly. At this moment he became extremely enchanting. That spear is the rule of treasure. Jian was eyes narrowed. He came all the way in Ziwei Xinghe, and he also met with several fourth-ranking masters, but these fourth-ranking masters had no rule of treasure. Like the master of Morchen, although he is the leader of the Void Star, there is no rule of the most precious soldier in his hand. But this Zhu Shu, as a penancer, is wandering in various territories, and his strength is extremely tyrannical. It is not surprising that he can have a rule in his hands. Mr. Zhu Shu, come out with a weapon. Mo Chen, who was fighting on the battlefield appearance, was also excited. You know, when Zhu Shu came to Ziwei Xinghe and swept through many Star Thief forces, they were all empty-handed and easily suppressed. Therefore, Juxu's god soldier, this Morchen master, was also seen for the first time, and it was actually a spear that reached the level of the rule of treasure. Blood sword, I hope you can hold on for a long time in my hands, but don't die immediately. Zhu Shu smiled. Everyone said, you're too arrogant. Jian Wushuang was too lazy to play tricks with Zhu Shu, and at the moment he saw Zhu Shu taking out the magic soldier, he already shot. The speed is still so strange and extremely fast, leaving a strange afterimage directly in the galaxy. His body burst into bursts, and the swift sword light came straight towards Zhu Shu. Zhu Shu just raised his head slightly, and the cold purple spear in his hand was stabbed directly forward. The sound of a metal impact sounded, and Jian Guang dimmed on the spot. Jian Wushuang also felt that his hands were a little numb, and his body was receding. This power. Jian Wushuang looked at Zhu Shu in surprise. When the magical soldiers were not used, the divine power of the 9 mustaches was already overwhelming. It can be said that they have reached the extreme level of the 4th level of domination. Power is even 10 times stronger than just now. Such terrible power, this is no longer in the category of the 4th level domination. The 5th series, although the realm is only the 4th series, but the divine power of the Joshar must have reached the threshold of the 5th series. The sword has no double-sided color and becomes dignified. Dominated by the 4th level, he has fought many times, but he has encountered it for the first time. These 9 beards, although not really dominated by the 5th rank, have reached the level of dominated by the 5th rank in this might. Ha, blood sword, pick me up a few shots. Zhu Shu issued a hearty laughter, his body flickered, and the purple Senglong lance in his hand was like a dragon flying out of the sea at this moment. Tip. Along with the terrible forest cold rays of light condensed, followed by another explosion. One shot after the other, the power was beyond the scope of the 4th level domination. Jian Wushuang also relied on more than understanding of the origin of the Kendo universe, and exerted powerful sword skills one after another to resist the thorns. However, Jian Wushuang's sword skill level is indeed very high, but in the divine power, it is only the normal 4th level to dominate the level. Compared with the Jusu at this moment, the difference is indeed too much. These 9 mustaches are still extremely random. One shot followed one shot, and they did not use too much marksmanship. Just relying on brutal divine power, they have suppressed Jian Wushuang. These 9 beards are obviously only the masters of the 4th level, and they are not special lives, but his divine power is indeed beyond the scope of the 4th ranks. Not surprisingly, he should cultivate some incomparable special mystic skills. Jian Wushuang secretly said. Suppressed by Juxu's marksmanship, Jian was double figure looked a little dazed. Suddenly Jian's body shape retreated sharply, pulling away from these 9 whiskers at the fastest speed. Why, I can't bear it so quickly, and want to admit defeat. If so, then you are too disappointed. Zhu Shu said lowly. Admit defeat. Jian Wushuang smiled. Jusu, your strength is indeed very good, at least in the 4th level I encountered, you are the strongest one, so you are qualified to let I do my best. Oh. Jisu moved. You mean, you haven't come up with all the strength yet? There was a gleam of light in Ju's eyes. He is a penancer, and he is extremely belligerent. He is most eager to play against the real strong. At the beginning of the battle with sword warriors, Zhu Shu did hold a bit of expectation at the beginning, but this expectation was not too strong. After all, his own strength was too arrogant, and few of the 4th level masters could let him take it seriously. This time he played against Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was able to force him to take out a weapon, which seemed very remarkable to him. But now, the other party said that he has not done his best so far. This makes Jisoo a little excited. The master of the cosmic boat hasn't given up his full strength yet. How is that possible? The master of Morchen was a little dreadful. Jian Wushuang, with a cold smile, said, Jisoo, you are a 4th-level master, you can force me to show all my strengths, and you are also proud. The words fell, and the sword was double again. It's the same shape, but this time the sword Wushuang was moving, there was a special force sweeping away. This power is truly the power of law. That's right, from the sword Wushuang came to the universe, including fighting against the star thieves in Ziwei Xinghe, and even the 2 leaders who beheaded the Vanity Star. Jian Wushuang relied on only his own power comparable to the 4th-level master, and their own understanding of kendo and swordplay. Even so, he is already the most extreme one in the 4th grade. Even in the face of this Joshu, which broke out in the 5th rank to dominate the divine power, he could barely fight. However, don't forget, the reason why Jian Wushuang is called an incredible genius, and the reason why he can be recognized by the veins of Hongyun and Lingyun Xing is because he understands a bit of the law of the universe. He is a trace of the universe law at the level of the ruler of the rule. Now he has broken through and reached the domination, and because he has mastered the relationship between the heavenly will of the gods in the early days, his awareness of the law of the universe has been continuously improved over the years. Up to now, his understanding of the laws of the universe has reached a whole new level. Now, he has really crossed the threshold of entry to the laws of the universe. Chapter 40:19. Second more. Stepping into the threshold of the law of the universe, and barely comprehending it, are 2 completely different things. The power of the cosmic law of the sword warriors is much stronger than before. Before, it just barely incorporated the cosmic law into its own attacks to enhance its power. But now, he has directly triggered the laws of the universe, and even his own body speed has changed dramatically. Cool. Under the blessing of the laws of the universe, Sword Master Wu Sao is completely weird, and can easily send out hundreds of thousands of phantoms in a flash. These phantoms are extremely real, even the power of the master cannot detect which one. It is the deity. A sudden cold light lit up, and one of the magic swords in the hands of the phantom had fallen. The cold, dazzling sword, chopped off with the power of strong cosmic laws. Ju's eyes narrowed. He already noticed that this sword was different from the sword technique that Jian Wushuang had performed before, but because of his absolute confidence in his own strength, he didn't care too much, and still stabbed the spear in his hand. It was another metal-like sound. This time, Ju's look changed dramatically. From the sword light of Jian Wushuang, he felt an incomparably great power, which not only completely made up the gap between Jian Wushuang and his previous power, but also made Jian Wushuang's sword skill more mysterious and terrible. The swordless double body bursts several times in succession, and each burst has numerous phantoms flashing out at the same time. Jushu couldn't keep up with the speed of Jian Wushuang, and when Jian Wushuang collided with his spear, Jushu was shocked to find that he was completely at a disadvantage. The law of the universe. It is the law of the universe. This blood sword actually understands the laws of the universe, and it is not just a trace of understanding. Ju's eyes were shocked like never before. He is a penancer, and his talent is not weak. Because of this, he can dominate the realm with the 4th rank and exert the fighting power dominated by the 5th rank. You must know that in the universe, unless there are some special reasons, it is almost impossible for a 4th-ranking master to challenge the 5th-ranking master, but this must be done. He always thought that he was powerful and genius, but no matter how powerful he was, he would not be conceited to say that he was more anti-heaven than those who understand the laws of the universe. You know, that's the law of the universe. The level of dominance, who can comprehend a trace of the laws of the universe, all are super strong, and in general are the 5th level and even the ultimate level of domination. After all, the level of the laws of the universe is too high. Only when your own strength reaches a certain level can you more easily access the laws of the universe and have the opportunity to understand them. It can be said that even the 5th series and even the ultimate level master can understand a trace of the law of the universe. There are few pitiful, and a second series master has completely crossed the threshold of entry in the law of the universe, that is even more be a monster among monster. Of course, these 9 beards are not known yet, but Zhen Wushuang has realized a trace of the law of the universe at the level of the master of the rules. If he knew it, he would be even more shocked. On the battlefield, the situation changed instantly. Because of the blessing of the power of the laws of the universe, Zhen Wushuang's strength soared to a whole new level. Not only was the speed and figure far more than Zhu Shu, the most important thing was that the power of swordsmanship also reached a new level. At least not weaker than Zhu Zu's marksmanship, and even stronger. Haha. Great, amazing. Bloodsword, this battle, I was quite satisfied with the strength you have shown, but I didn't expect that you even exceeded my expectations completely. Haha, I realized that the rule of the universe is the master. Now, let me take a look at how amazing the laws of the universe are. Zhu Su was almost excited at this moment. The law of the universe. He dreamed of feeling a trace of the cosmic law in his dreams, but let alone feelings, even if there was no chance of contact. He is not qualified to touch the laws of the universe. Even if these chaos eras break down, he meets countless powerful people, but none of them can understand a trace of the laws of the universe. The sword is unparalleled, but it is the first. Fighting with the strong one who understands the laws of the universe can also be said to be the first time Zhu Shu has actually come into contact with the laws of the universe. Would Zhu Shu not be surprised by such a once-in-lifetime opportunity? Zhu Su, I hope you don't let me down. Zhen Wushuang made a cold voice. He is also eager for Zhu Shu to burst into super strength, which will allow him to truly fight all out. But now, these 9 must show their strength, obviously not enough. Haha, come on, come on. Zhu Shu laughed wildly, and at the same time a large amount of cyan light rose from his body. This cyan light condensed, forming a huge blue ancient feint behind him Buddha. This ancient Buddha also has a blue lamp in his hand. Suddenly, the ancient Buddha opened his eyes, and the sky blue light completely replaced the light in Xinghe. The breath of Zhu Zu's body suddenly skyrocketed at this moment. Boom, boom, boom. The void is falling apart one after another. At this moment, the spear in Zhu Su's hand looks like a huge star. This star also contains the terrifying power, as if it is about to erupt at any time. The spear burst out, stabbing one after another, as if the stars successively smashed toward the sword. Before, Zhu Shu only shot extremely indiscriminately, but now he has also used his best strength. Mysteries and marksmanship are also exhibited to the fullest, exuding one's own strength to the fullest. With the blessing of the power of the laws of the universe, Zhen Wushuang burst into amazing power at the same time. The 2 figures collided and clashed in the Xinghe again and again. The battlefield was full of afterimages, there were monstrous divine power everywhere, and the terrible shockwaves that continuously spread to the surroundings. Outside the battlefield that Morchen ruled, has long been stunned. Too strong, terrible. This is definitely not the power of the 4th series, but it has reached the 5th series. Mr. Zhu Su and the owner of this spacecraft definitely has the 5th level combat power. Dominated by Mo Chen, his whole body and mind were trembling and roaring. The fierce battle in the middle of the battlefield has completely reached the stage of fever. Sword unparalleled, the power of his sword and the laws of the universe has been triggered to the extreme. The Zhu Shu also completely broke out his own marksmanship and mystery. But in the end, the 2 of them still had a good fight. This fierce battle lasted for half a quarter of an hour. Something unexpected happened. I originally planned to make 3 changes today. I updated it 2 days before the update. As a result, I could only make 2 changes. Chapter 40-20. The first is more. It was another fierce confrontation. The entire Xinghe was completely under the violent impact of energy, and the figures of Zhen Wushuang and Zhu Shu were finally separated again. Haha, happily, this is the battle I long for. Zhu Zu's eyes were red, and Liang was carrying a madness. Zhen Wushuang's eyes were full of excitement. The strength of these 9 mustaches did not disappoint him. He had already exerted his own understanding of the laws of the universe to the fullest extent, and had fully exerted his sword skills. As a result, he could only compete with these 9 mustaches. The opponent's combat power is undoubtedly the 5th series, and among the 5th series dominates, it should still be the kind that can stand firm. Jusu. Zhen Wushuang said suddenly, since you were specially invited by that person, you should know that when I beheaded and killed their 3 brothers, I performed a sword array, and now you also come feel the power of my sword formation. Zhen Wushuang intends to perform the sword array. No matter how good the sword skill he just cast is, how powerful the power is, but the sword is very clear, his strongest is the 3 sword arrays he created. And these 3 major sword arrays, he has never been exhibited yet. Is the sword array? Ju's eyes and pupils shrank, and his heart also looked with a touch of expectation. Sword Wushuang shot, and saw the power of an invisible magic circle spread out, while rising with the majestic sword. The whole world suddenly became cold and cold. An unprecedented sense of killing flooded the entire Gaodar galaxy. The hazy mist, like a tide, swept away, covering the entire battlefield in a blink of an eye. Being on the battlefield, that is, the center of the sword formation, Jushu can clearly feel the arrogance of that killing sword. It's terrible to kill the sword, and the sword alone is enough to make the general 3rd series and even the 4th series dominate the courage to contend. Jushu also secretly shocked. When Mo Chen, who was outside the battlefield, saw the sword array displayed by Zhen Wushuang, his body shuddered. At first, he and his 2 brothers and 3 men joined forces to slay Zhen Wushuang. In the end, Zhen Wushuang used this sword array to easily kill his 2 brothers, and even he could only use life-saving mystery to escape. But at that time, Zhen Wushuang did not trigger the laws of the universe. Now give full play to the law of the universe, and then cast this sword array, the power is naturally stronger. The hazy sword formation took shape, and the endless killings flooded the entire sword formation. And that large swath of fog has completely covered the galaxy. In the fog, a sword light, directly illuminated without any signs, directly cut to the skull of Jushu. So fast, and suddenly. Jushu was also taken aback. He didn't see how the Zhenguang was formed at all, only he knew that Zhenguang suddenly appeared in front of him. Quickly caught him by surprise, only barely raised his hand, blocking the spear in front of him. Clang! A low impact sounded, and the power contained in the sword light also shocked Jushu. That power was completely comparable to a 5th-level master who gave his full blow. If it is a head-to-head attack, he is not afraid of such an attack, and he is confident that he can resist it. But now in this sword array, the sword light appears too weird, and the speed is too fast. Blocked the first Zhenguang, immediately the second Zhenguang quietly swept from the void beside. Not good. Jushu stared, and turned around quickly, but it was too late to resist, and he could only do his best to procure the body armor of the body, and a powerful body power broke out. Peng! Zhenguang directly bombarded Juxu's body. Even though Juxu's body armor is the strongest treasure of the highest level, it can't resist the attack of Wu Weeping Sword. At the moment of contact, Zhenguang, the terror power contained in it has exceeded the endurance limit of this arcane warframe. The mighty power is passed madly into the body of Jushu. As a penancer, Jushu is involved in various methods. In terms of the strength of the gods, it is also quite useful, but under such attacks, the body was also severely damaged. Puff! I saw a large mouthful of blood spurting out of Juxu's mouth. Juxu's body was trembling, and he burst out. This sword directly consumed Juxu's divine power by more than 10%. But after this sword, immediately it was a silent Zhenguang attack. It's too fast and weird. This sword formation completely obscured the power of my soul. I fell into this sword formation. I couldn't find the location of the blood sword at all. I didn't even see where he made the sword, and his sword skills mighty, really terrible. Jushu looked ugly, and he tried his best to struggle in this sword formation. But in the face of Zhenguang, who suddenly attacked from the surrounding area, he seemed extremely passive. Just 2 Zhenguang attacks have already wounded him, and after only a few moments in his sword array, he has withstood 3 Zhenguang attacks, and his power has been lost by nearly 40%. There is no doubt that Jushu has been hit hard. Boom! A sudden outburst of mighty power broke out, and the mist that had always existed in the sword array was directly oppressed and dispersed to the surrounding area, exposing the sword unparalleled figure in front of the sword array. Heh! Jian Wushuang looked at Jojo in the sword array in amazement. It's so powerful that I have been severely hit by it. I can forcibly impact my sword array and let the mist in my sword array dissipate. Blood sword. In the center of the sword array, Jusu has blood on his mouth, scarlet eyes staring at Jian Wushuang. Since he became a penancer, he has challenged countless powerful men since he has smashed across the universe, and many of them have a fourth level, some of the most pinnacle and dazzling geniuses in the number. Even I have played against several fifth-ranked lords, but among all the strong players I have played against can take me seriously. Willem driving to such a field now, you have been the third since a long time. The first two are dominated by the fifth level. And you are just the second level. You are terrible. Your talent is the strongest person I have ever met. You are qualified to see my strongest killing trick. Although Ju Shu was hit hard, the war intention in his eyes has not weakened at all, but it is getting more and more vigorous. The strongest killing trick. Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. As for what Ju Shu said was the third in a long time, he didn't care at all. What he cared about was Ju Zu's strength, and what he said was the strongest killing move. Bring it on. Jian Wushuang whispered, and he looked forward to it. Chapter 40-21. Second more. Bloodsword. You be careful. Ju Shu kindly reminded him, but following the light in the stars and rivers around him, he was completely dimmed. The entire universe is completely turned into a darkness. In this dark world, the spear in the hands of Ju Shu suddenly turned into a dazzling purple light. This purple light demon is extremely charming. Once it appeared, it immediately became the focus of this boundless dark world. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but look at this purple light. Night magic light. Ju Shu's mouth issued a burst of drink. The purple light burst out at a horrible speed in a short time. Jian Wushuang stood there, and at the moment the purple light burst at him, a tremendous pressure rose in his heart. With his knowledge, it is natural to see how terrible the power contained in this purple light is. This trick is very strong, stronger than the strongest swordplay I have created. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but marvel. And the next moment, the sword in his sky rose directly. The vastness of Jenny condensed into substance on his body, and a heavy sword-like barrier condensed in the blink of an eye. On this sword-like barrier, the power of the magic circle pervades. Earth Guard Sword Formation, one of the three strongest sword formations created by Jian Wushuang, the sword formation with the strongest body protection ability. With this move, Jian Wushuang will never be used to kill the enemy, but only to protect his body. It should be known that the defense ability of the earth guarding the sword array is extremely powerful. At the beginning of the Tai Kingdom, the sword's full strength could only condense dozens of earth sword areas to form a sword array. But since he broke through to become the master and mastered the power of heavenly will in the early days, his understanding of kendo and his understanding of the formation method have been unprecedentedly improved. His three sword formation powers have not been compared to the past. The current Earth Guardian sword array, created by Sword Wushuang, can instantly form a sword array composed of 132 heavy sword barriers. The reason why it is only 132 weights is because the Sword Wushuang's promotion of the Earth Guardian sword formation in these years did not purely increase the number of sword-like barriers, but focused on its quality. There is no doubt that this heavy sword barrier is terrible for any heavy body defense. A single heavy sword barrier may not be able to break even if the fourth level dominates the shot with full force, but it is sufficient here. The weight is 132, and there is the blessing of the power of the law formation, which makes the Earth Guardian sword array indestructible. Probably the strongest killing trick that these 9 must use in front of him, the power is indeed towering, even though it is estimated that the 5th level dominate can pose a great threat, but once the Guardian Sword of the Earth comes out, the Sword Wushuang has absolute confidence. No matter how strong Juxu's strongest killing trick is, he firmly believes that his Earth Guardian sword formation can completely resist it. Sure enough, the most dazzling purple light in the darkness was fiercely bombarded on the Earth Guardian sword formation, the terrible might erupted, and the heavy sword-like barrier suddenly collapsed. But this purple light just broke the dozens of heavy sword barriers, and could no longer move in the slightest. Sure enough, my earth guards the sword array and has never let me down. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, but his smile solidified the next moment dead. Zhu Zu's eyes were so explosive that his face became extremely frightened at this moment. I saw you in front of the dazzling purple light, the purple demon spear, the tip of which has entered the Earth Guardian sword formation, but was blocked by the heavy sword barrier of the Earth Guardian sword formation. This low drink, the tip of the purple spear, without any signs, cracked directly. You know, this purple spear is a rule of treasure, and the tip should also be extremely strong. The sword has no idea that the tip will crack. After the crack, a cloud of red mist flew towards the sword unparalleled like a flame. The most important thing is that this red mist is not a physical attack, but an invisible attack similar to the soul attack. The sword unparalleled Earth Guardian sword array cannot resist at all. The sword Wushuang is very close to these 9 beards, and under the rush, he has no time to dodge. Cool. Like a breeze, this red mist directly covered the sword's body, and instantly penetrated the sword's body into the sword's body. A shocking pain suddenly rose up. Not good. The sword has no double-sided color change. The moment the red mist penetrated his body, he immediately felt that the internal organs, flesh and bones of his whole body were being corroded madly. Even the divine power in his body was instantaneous after encountering the red mist. Be evaporated. Very toxic. Even my perfect life can't be ignored, it's extremely toxic as never before. Jian Wushuang shuddered physically and mentally. Yes, the practitioner of perfect life level is terrible, the natural body is strong, and all poison is not swallowed. Jian Wushuang had suffered from some strange venom attacks when he was in the early days of the divine realm, but no matter what poison was in the early divine realm, he could not harm him in the least. Because his perfect life level is too high, the general poison does not have any effect on the practitioner of the perfect life level. However, here is the universe after all. The universe is unfathomable, and a variety of means are emerging endlessly. There are some extremely powerful poisons in the universe, even the practitioners of the perfect life level cannot resist. As now, these 9 poisonous poisons cannot be ignored by practitioners with perfect levels of life. Banging. The terrible poison is madly eroding Jian Wushuang's body, and Jian Wushuang's soul is trembling with madness at this moment. Jian Wushuang endured severe pain, and immediately mobilized his vast divine power to frantically attack the red mist that invaded his body. Although his divine power would immediately evaporate after contacting the red mist, however, with the continuous impact of divine power, those red mists are also passing away. In this way, each other was deadlocked, and eventually the red mist was not enough in quantity, and was completely consumed by Jian Wushuang's internal power. In order to kill these red mists, Jian Wushuang was fully consumed. Nearly 40% of the power, because of perfect life, Jian Wushuang has nearly 1,000 times his power and even normal dominance after breaking through and becoming the master. Such a huge and imposing divine power, however, was consumed by the red mist in just an instant and evaporated by nearly 40%. What is this concept? If you change to another master, in this red mist, I am afraid that I have already died dozens or hundreds of times. In other words, Jian Wushuang, relying on the innate advantages of perfect life, can barely resist, and the loss of divine power still makes Jian Wushuang take a breath of air. Immediately following, Jian Wushuang was a burst of anger. Chapter 40-22. 3 more arrived today. Furious. Jian Wushuang was completely angry now. Although from the beginning, he had a hint of vigilance against these 9 beards, and he has always been extra cautious in fierce battles, but as the battle became more and more fierce, the 9 beards have also been extremely excited. This excitement is purely due to encountering real opponents, as is Jian Wushuang. The difference in strength between the two is not so big. Zhu Shu is a penancer. He finally encountered a decent opponent, let alone Jian Wushuang. He rushed all the way from the beginning of the divine realm, but did not meet a real decent opponent on the way. Now it's hard to come across. The opponent's strength and methods surprised Jian Wushuang. Naturally, he felt a sense of regret. When Jian Wushuang was hitting Ju Su, he was going to stop. He didn't want to kill Ju Su. But whoever thought that the 9 mustaches directly hit the killer, and he had been disguised very well before he hit the killer, and he deliberately reminded him when he shot, asking him to be careful, which made Jian Wushuang's heart feel relieved. But the result attention. Jian Wushuang's heart was cold. He did care, of course. It can be said that he was too confident in his guardian sword formation. He confidently relied on the Earth Guardian sword formation to withstand the strongest killing tricks of the 9 whiskers, but forgot that the Earth Guardian sword formation was not truly impeccable, facing the kind of soul attack, or the kind of soul attack substantial attacks cannot be resisted by the Guardian sword formation. In addition, the Jushu disguise is really good, from the beginning to the end is a militant, excited to meet a decent opponent and looked crazy, even the sword unparalleled. Fortunately, he is the perfect level of life, and his divine power is indeed vast enough to survive the corrosion of the red mist. If you change to someone else, you can't die any longer. In the battlefield, Ju Zu's face was embarrassed, and his eyes on Xiong Zhenshuang were cold, but his heart was sneer. This blood sword, however, is dominated by the 2nd level, but his strength means is definitely the 5th level. Even I am not his opponent. The realm has so great a span, he must have obtained it before. Fortunately, 80% of his body also has big secrets. As long as he kills him, I will know what secrets he has. Although Joshu has always been a militant's posture, it looks bright and clear, and it is necessary to compete with Jian Wushuang by strength. But in fact he was very dark inside, and always knew clearly in his mind. From the moment when Jian Wushuang showed his true strength, he had already made up his mind to find a way to kill Jian Wushuang. It's a pity that Jian Wushuang is too strong. He couldn't help doing everything he could, and he was even hit by the opponent. No way, he can only show his strongest killing trick. His strongest killing move seemed to be the terrible shot, and the power was really overwhelming. There is no doubt that, in fact, the terrible shot was just a guise. His real killing trick was the red mist that erupted under the gun. The red mist was his coincidence in the secret territory of one side of heaven and earth, and obtained the treasure left by an ultimate master. The ultimate master is a strong who is good at poisoning. The red mist is the strong. One of the remaining poisonous. Only a small part of this highly toxic is enough to kill the 5th level master. Even if it is the ultimate master, if it is accidentally damaged by a large amount of red mist, it will still die. Jushu originally relied on this trick to wander through the various territories of the universe, the biggest hole card that has not died for so many years. Before encountering Jian Wushuang, Jushu had also encountered 2 real crises. Both of his opponents were dominated by the 5th series, and his strength was much stronger than him. As a result, he relied on this most. The strong killing, relying on the red mist, successfully countered the 2 5th level masters. Now Jian Wushuang has suffered the same trick. He saw a lot of red mist entering Jian Wushuang's body. He knew this battle and he won. Not only did he win, but after the death of the blood sword in front of him, the secrets in his body, including the many treasures he left behind, and the cosmic boat, were all his. According to his estimation, sword unparalleled swords, the gains he can get may be more than that of the 2 5th-ranked dominators. These 9 must be eager to wait. Suddenly Jian Wushuang, standing in front of him, opened his eyes directly. Jusu, you're fine. The cold voice also came from Jian Wushuang's mouth. How is it possible? Ju Zu's eyes were wide and his face was incredible. Even the 5th series master, inhaling the same dose of mist, will certainly die. There is no doubt that a 2nd series master dominates. How can he live? Come down. Juxu's heart was full of puzzles and couldn't believe it. But in fact went in front of him. I'm not dead, but you are going to die soon. Jian Wushuang has no sympathy. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 dazzling golden lights lit up suddenly, and saw 3 huge town monuments rising directly. As soon as these 3 town monuments appeared, they immediately swept to 3 different positions and combined with each other, and a huge golden circle formed instantly. The magic town of heaven and magic, at this moment directly triggered its power. This is, the rule of repression is precious. Full 3 respects. Zhu Shu was frightened. He was horrified to find that under this golden circle, he was under a tremendous force of repression, which greatly weakened the strength he could exert. Followed by the sword Wushuang, but the sword came out. Wow! The endless ocean of swordsmanship swept directly out at this moment. This sword means that the ocean is huge and immense, and it is permeated throughout the galaxy. The three lightest sword formations created by Zhen Wushuang are the lightsaber formations. Wave light sword formation, although it is only one of the three major sword formations, and the sword swordsman was originally created to trap the enemy in tangled sword formation, since the sword swordsman has obtained 3 town monuments, can after sending out the Magic Town Sky Magic Array, relying on the combined power of the Magic Town Sky Magic Array and Wave Lightsaber Array. This wave of lightsaber formations has undoubtedly become the strongest killing move in Swordless Hand. Even the hazy sword formation that focuses on attacking power is far inferior to the wave lightsaber formation in killing the enemy. Previously, Zhen Wushuang had cast the hazy sword formation and the Earthguard sword formation successively. As for the light sword formation, he had never performed it. Until now, after Zhu Shu really angered him, Zhen Wushuang's strength no longer had any reservations. For a moment, Shenmue Gentianfa Array was perfectly combined with Wave Lightsaber Array. Zhen Wushuang's strongest killing trick is truly displayed in the universe. Chapter 40-23. The first is more. What? Zhu Shu looked with horror at the huge and vast ocean of golden swords that appeared in front of him. This golden sword-like ocean is endless and has an indescribable power, and this sword-like ocean is clearly perfectly integrated with the surrounding golden circle. Voila! The huge golden ocean is rolling, the endless golden sword-like waves, one after another hit directly towards Zhu Shu. Zhu Shu had no time to be shocked, so he had to quickly use his means to resist the impact of this golden sword. However, just a wave of golden sword-likeness shocked Zhu Shu. The 5th series, the power of this golden sword-like wave is absolutely no less than the full blow of the 5th series. Even me, I must go all out to show my best skills to resist. If it's just a double golden sword-like wave, Zhu Shu will not care. But the key is that under the sweep of the golden sword-like ocean, the mighty golden sword-like wave followed the heavy one, and raged at him like a sea. In just a moment's effort, he encountered more than a dozen heavy golden sword-like waves. Under such shocks, he must make every effort to show his unique skills to resist, and he can show his skills more than 10 times in a row, which is extremely huge for his magical power. In addition, these 9 beards were in the hazy sword formation before being double created by the sword. The magic power has been consumed by nearly half. Now they are in the wave-light sword formation and oppressed by the Magic Town Tianfa formation. This heavy golden sword the waves came, and Zhu Shu was completely frightened. Endless, the impact of this sword-like wave is endless, even if my strength is at its peak, I am afraid I can barely support it for a while in this sword array, let alone I have been hit hard now. Escape, escape. Zhu Shu no longer wanted to slay the sword unparalleled, he is now completely frightened, just want to escape here first. After years of rushing down, although he has also encountered several crises, he can finally defeat defeat by his means, but now facing Zhen Wushuang, there is really nothing he can do. He can only escape. However, he is now trapped in the town of heaven and magic. With the current strength of Zhen Wushuang, relying on the 3 magic towns and towns of heaven and earth evoked by the magic of the town of heaven and magic, that mighty force is extremely extreme, directly suppressing this galaxy, even though Zhu Shu is the 4th-ranked ultimate master. Combat power it is comparable to the 5th series, but he is far from easy to get rid of the repression of the gods and magic circles. No. Zhu Shu screamed, he wanted to escape, and even had to perform the life-saving secret. But in the face of the golden sword-like ocean that was madly sweeping around him, he didn't have any space or opportunity to escape, he could only watch his divine power be consumed continuously, and his breath was constantly weakened. It's over. Zhu Shu was completely desperate, and his heart was even mourning. He was unwilling to die like this, let alone die in the hands of a 2nd-level master. But no matter how unwilling he is, the power gap between him and Zhen Wushuang is still there. Before Zhen Wushuang did not use the 3 major sword arrays, these 9 beards could indeed be comparable to Zhen Wushuang's fight, but when Zhen Wushuang's 3 major sword arrays came out, these 9 beards were no longer their opponents. In fact, if these 9 mustaches are not too greedy and have no intention of killing, if they want to kill Zhen Wushuang should spare his life, but unfortunately the 9 mustaches themselves to death. He thought he was the strongest killer, and even the 5th-ranked master would undoubtedly die. The 2nd-ranked master of swordsman Wushou should have been captured, but the swordsman Wushou survived. It was a heavy golden sword wave, and the Jesus body finally couldn't support it, and it collapsed directly, and its life was instantly cut off. When Jushu died, his spear, armor, and instantaneous treasures that had been integrated into his body all floated in the void, and his Chenkuan ring also remained. Zhen Wushuang waved his hand and took away all these treasures. Followed by Zhen Wushuang, he converged on the god magic town Tianfa formation, and returned the 3 town monuments to Chenkuan ring. After doing all this, Zhen Wushuang's eyes only looked to the side of the void. In that direction, the original Morchen Lord from the Void Star has always stood there to watch the battle. However, as the battle progressed to the final stage, when Jushu fell into the wave of lightsaber formation and finally struggling, the Morchen Lord see it naturally. Mo Chen's dominance never imagined that even Jushu was not an opponent of Zhen Wushuang, and it looked like he was about to die in the hands of Zhen Wushuang. Jushu was invited by him to avenge his 2 brothers. Now Jushu is about to die. How dare he stay? Therefore, while Jushu was still dying, the master of Morchen had sneaked away. No way, he wasn't in the battlefield. When Zhen Wushuang evoked Shenma Gentianfa array, he didn't cover him, and Zhen Wushuang was dealing with Jushu with all his heart. Let him slip away. He's lucky. Zhen Wushuang snorted coldly, and waved his sleeve robe. He turned and walked towards the spacecraft. In Xinghe, which is not far from the battlefield just now, N.A. Moken's dominance turned into a streamer, hurried through the Xinghe. He didn't dare to stop for a moment, for fear that the owner of the spacecraft would chase after him after killing Jushu. In his eyes, it was an unprecedented shock. Even Mr. Joshu, isn't he the opponent of the spacecraft master? And it looks like he will soon die. The shock in Mo Chen's dominance, let alone how strong it is. When he went to ask Jushu, he had absolute confidence in the latter. The latter's strength made him desperate, but he did not expect that such a superpower was killed by the cosmic boatmaster. Even Mr. Jushu was killed by him. This Ziwei Xing Hanoi really can't find anyone who threatens the owner of the spacecraft. I want to avenge my 2 brothers, I'm afraid it's impossible. Mo Chen sighed heavily. He wanted revenge, but he was too strong. Strong makes him desperate. The most important thing is the talent and potential shown by the other party. After all, the opponent is just a 2nd-level master, and the 2nd-level master can now kill the Joshu who has the 5th-level master, and it will be fine after that. It can be said that Zhen Wushuang's strength and talent have completely made him unable to revenge. Chapter 40-24. Second More. Inside the spacecraft. As soon as Zhen Wushuang came in, cold as frost and magic flame greeted him immediately. Fu Jun, are you okay? Lung Rushuang looked with a hint of worry. It's okay, but it's really dangerous just now. If I weren't for the perfect level of life, I'm afraid I'm dead. Zhen Wushuang Dao. The face was as cold as frost. Although she and Moyan just stayed in the cosmic boat just now, the scenes on the outside battlefield were all clearly visible. That Jusu had the strongest killing trick, especially the hidden red mist attack, which can be said to be beyond everyone's expectations. She was watching Zhen Wushuang's trick, and she almost ran out of the cosmic boat at that time. Or the flames held her. It's my intention. Zhen Wushuang's voice was low, I'm too small for the strong in the universe. He rose from the early world of the gods, and has gone all the way to today, and has encountered countless crises during this period. But there are many crises that he has prepared mentally. Most of the powerful methods of the gods in the early days, Zhen Wushuang mostly knows, and he has the bottom of his heart. But the universe is different. The universe is vast and immense, and the strong are countless. Because of this has created a variety of strange ways in the universe. Not only are there many types of these methods, the key is that they are all terrible and unpredictable. Like this time, Jian Wushuang learned. Those 9 must have just qualified as a militant. He has to use his strongest attacking trick to compete with him. Whoever thought that there was a terrorist killing hidden in the strongest attacking trick, even he was not careful. Hit it. The vast universe is far more cruel than the beginning of the world. Although I have experienced many storms in the beginning of the world, after all, I have just arrived in the universe and I do not know too much about this universe. I, compared to the entire universe, is still very young. Jian Wushuang secretly said. Immature, he can only use this word to describe himself. Although he also lived for hundreds of thousands of years and experienced many storms, it was only the first time to venture into the universe. Master, the degree of cruelty in the universe is far from what you can imagine. What you see now is nothing but the fur in the entire universe. I once wandered in the universe for a long time. In this long time, in the rush, I summarized a sentence, that is, in the universe, do not believe anyone except yourself. Everyone besides himself may be an enemy. Be careful and be cautious everywhere to live longer. As for what is sympathetic in a fierce battle, or has a kind heart, this kind of person can't live too long. Mo Yang also said in a deep voice. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded. Eating a maggot and a wise man, this time Jian Wushuang received a lesson. In the future, in the universe, no matter who the opponent is, even if he has no intention of killing himself, he has to beware of the opponent's possible killing at any time. Even if a well-known old man is in front of him, it is also possible to suddenly stretch out his cold and dark minions. By the way, Joshu is also a powerful 4th series player. His combat power is comparable to that of the 5th series master. He is also a penancer. His net worth should be great. Kill him, but he hasn't searched his treasures well. Jian Wushuang smiled, and immediately waved his hand, and took out the many treasures left after Jisoo died with Chenkuan Ring. Jian Wushuang first looked at the treasure that emerged directly from the body of God after Jisoo died. These treasures are all refined by Joshu, and Joshu uses them directly, like the spear and armor, in addition to a black ring and a strange grey bead. The spear and the armor are already known. The purple spear is the rule of treasure, but the breath is only the grade of the rule of inferiority, and its value is estimated to be between 100 and 200 source rocks of the universe. As for that armor, it is the strongest treasure at the highest level, and it is not worth it. Jian Wushuang now mainly looks at the black ring and the strange grey beads. He first looked at the black ring, and his consciousness merged directly. Is it the domain treasure? Jian Wushuang frowned, then shook his head immediately. The domain treasure is the strongest treasure at the highest level, but since it is not a rule treasure, you can't make swords matchless interested. Immediately following Jian Wushuang and looking at the weird grey beads, a simple swipe of consciousness, Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up directly. The rule is precious. And it is extremely precious. The rules of soul defense are extremely precious. Jian Wushuang was excited throughout his body and mind. The rule of treasure is extremely precious, and any piece of attack rule of treasure is worth more than 100 universe source stones. The rules of attacking the treasure are just the most common rules of treasure. The armors at the level of the rule of treasure, as well as the treasures of domain and repression, naturally have higher value. The Zhentian stele like Jian Wushuang is much more valuable than the ordinary attack rule, the precious treasure. Of course, because the Zhentianbei is the standard rule treasure, it is not so precious. The law of soul defense is precious, which is precious. You know, the soul is the core of a practitioner. In the universe, strength reaches the level of domination, and it is very necessary to protect your soul. After all, there are many strong men who are good at soul in this universe. Such strong men cannot resist by means of strength. To bear purely by the power of your own soul. At this time, a soul defense class treasure is extremely important. In terms of value, the soul defense type is extremely precious. Among the same level of treasure, it is definitely the most precious one. Jian Wushuang now obtains from the treasures left by Jushu, The Grey Dominator and the Purple Spear are rule treasures. In terms of value, this Grey Dominator is definitely more than 10 times the Purple Spear. With grey beads alone, if you sell it in Jodi Pavilion, you can definitely sell more than 1,000 cosmic source stones. Haha, I sent it, sent it. Jian Wushuang laughed out loud. The rules of soul defense are treasures. The flames of magic flames lit up. This level of rules of treasures is enough to attract a lot of 5th level masters. Even the ultimate masters will pay attention. These 9 beasts, dominated by a 4th ranked number, have such treasures in their hands. It can be seen that the magic flame is also quite shocked. You know, even in his heyday, there were many rules of treasure in his hands, but the soul defense rules of treasure, even if it was only inferior, was still enough for him to attach great importance. After all, the highest level of treasure used in his heyday was only the top quality rule. The value of this top-level soul defense rule is precious, and its value is very close to that of the top-quality rule. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,